Hey everybody, welcome to Boomer Fitness. Today I am so excited. We are with fitness royalty here. We're with Elliott Hulse. Elliott is not only a strength coach, he's a strongman competitor and also the voice of holistic health and personal development. Today we're going to deep dive into what it truly means to grow stronger over the age of 50, not just physically, but mentally and also spiritually too. So Elliott, thanks for hopping on here. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine, Ryan.
Awesome. And we crossed paths in the fitness industry through years. We're a similar age. And I work with a lot of men and women over the age of 50. So just to kick things off here, I just want to talk to you about what are the biggest myths that you see about strength training for men and women over the age of 50?
The biggest myth, just in general, health and fitness for men and women over 50 is that's that there's something wrong with our body that needs to be medically treated. We don't recognize, number one, that there are seasons of growth, evolution. We change. And in fact, we've been doing that for thousands of years. Like, we're supposed to mature, right? We don't stay the same. But we also need to take into consideration the type of abuse we put our bodies through up until about that age. With a body that's changing, that there's no room in our culture for the acceptance of that change. There's not even like a process, like initiation. But then there's, for the past 50 years, I've been abusing my body by not sleeping well, not eating the right foods, on and off of medication, stressed with career and family and job, all the things that take away from life. So abuse. And then we go to the doctor or we see an ad on Facebook that says you need some medication, some hormones. There's something wrong with your hormones. You need to take some shots. And so rather than looking at the truth of our maturation, growth, and how things change, and you adapt to those changes. You can't do the same thing at 55 as you did at 25, but you can achieve similar results. Just got to do it different. Just recognizing that it's okay. But people are stubborn. They don't want to reinvent themselves. It takes a lot of humility and practice.
I was thinking about the same thing. It's like every day, like now that I'm 46, I open up my phone and I get advertised, take this blue mint. It's going to help you with your performance. Right. Take this to help you with male performance. I'm driving down the road. This is going to help you with male performance. And after a while, I start thinking to myself, like, man, is there something wrong with my male performance? I don't feel like there's anything wrong with my male performance.
Right.
I would say that. But I would also agree with you, too. Yeah, our bodies have changed. So like for myself, being 46, I realized with a young toddler, I used to be a social drinker. But I had to put that on the shelf because I'd wake up the next day and have no energy. So you said those tough changes where, you got to start giving some things up in order to get where you want to go, going into your 50s and 60s. So I would agree with that totally. And then noticing like, okay, instead of getting 5 days of strength training in 5 by 5, maybe now it's going to be 3 days and you're going to get some sleep. And instead of going high intensity sprints, I'm going to go for some trail walks.
Right. So these are all the things. You nailed it.
So, what exercises, because I get this all the time on my channel, and you probably do too. People will drop in the comment section, well, I can't do squats anymore. I can't do deadlifts. I can't do presses. I can't do pull-ups. I'm 50 years old. So what are the top exercises do you recommend over the age of 50?
All of them. Anything that you could have done when you were young. Right? You should be able to do all of it, right? Like, think about when you were a child. What could you do? You could climb the monkey bars, right? You could do, you could probably do a little like skin the cat backflip when you were a kid. You definitely could put your hands on your toes. You definitely could squat your butt down to the ground. You could definitely run and jump and, spin around. There are a whole lot of things that you were doing when you were young, and when you're old, it's good to be able to do those things too. So when I say all of it, I mean, if there's anything that you can't do, you must. We should have the full range of activities available to us.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. If you're not able to do a squat, work on your range of motion until you're able to do a squat. Because I don't know, you probably, if you agree with this or not, because by working on that flexibility and getting to be able to do a squat, you're going to prevent yourself from having a future injury or from doing those activities you want to do in your 60s and 70s.
Everything you said, correct, absolutely. But if you can't move in a particular direction and like you slip, you can't catch yourself. Your body doesn't remember what it's like to like reach a leg out or sit down. So yeah, just agreeing with what you said about injury. If you can't, you better figure out how it's going to catch up on you.
And then the last one is kind of leads into that next question, which is how can men and women safely push the limits without risking that injury? Because that's the question you get when people start is like, I want to start working out again, but my career and my family have taken hold for the last decade. And they try the old plan that they did, but it's not working and they don't want that injury. So how do they prevent against that injury when starting out?
Well, there are a few different things you want to think about. Number one is be patient and go slow. All right, we want to undo 30 years of bad habits in 90 days, and it doesn't work that way. Give yourself time, at least a year. And the reason why I say that is because there's layers. There's layers of your health and fitness that have to be, the foundations that have to be laid in order for you to really reach your peak. So for example, everything that we're talking about in terms of your flexibility, like can you squat? So that would be like a foundational quality, strength quality or ability that you could work on. You can work on that all day long. But then there's stability, right? Like, and that instability could mean unilateral stability. Like, can you just stand on one leg? Like, you don't need to beat yourself up too hard if you just do single leg toe touches. Just stand on one leg and reach down and touch your toe. Like, that's pretty challenging. It's challenging your nervous system, challenging your flexibility, challenging your muscles. And because it's unilateral, you're challenging the stability of your left and right. You know, like, so balance across your whole musculoskeletal system, right? So flexibility, stability, strength, your ability to produce power, right? So good, now you can sit down, you have the flexibility to, you know, put your butt on your heels, you know, sit down like you'd be pooping in a hole in the dirt like they do in India. You know, are you strong enough to lift yourself up? What about lifting yourself up with some weight? Like maybe you have to pick up a potted plant, right? So something in front like a goblet squat, right? You have enough strength to like support you and extrinsic load, right? Because that's life. Like maybe farmer's carries and you pick something up and just carry them in your hands, like your bag of groceries, strength. And then it's also, you know, beyond that, like the pinnacle is power, flexibility, stability, strength, and then power. And power is like the peak of the pyramid. And it's good to have power when you're old. I'm talking like, you know, not just my age. I just did box jumps, yeah, which we really should always be doing. You got to do some kind of jump and some kind of sprint so that you can maintain that quickness of your nervous system, because that's usually what leads to injury. If you can't catch yourself because you're slow, it's because you didn't spend any time on speed, power. So in that order, once you build your flexibility and your stability, you can start to get stronger, and then power. That could take you a year or longer. It's a lifelong journey.
I would agree with that 100%. It's all about taking that time and being patient with yourself. Instead, because we're being sold by the 12-week program, right? When really it's like, when you probably talk to your most successful clients, they've worked with you a year, 2 years, 3 years, a decade.
Right.
That's how long we've been in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like taking those steps. Okay, let's get you to be able to do some TRX squats if you can't squat. Let's work on that mobility. Let's work on being able to step off a step. Let's see if you can pick that kettlebell off the ground. It's funny you brought that one up, because I had a lady who just started with us who was working at a curbs, and she started out, she lost weight, but she felt like she's plateaued and wasn't making those results. And she was concerned she couldn't pick up her plant off the ground, or if that was a good idea, because she was afraid she was going to hurt herself. So that's a great point there. The next one, the one that everybody thinks they need, it's the mindset and the motivation. Like, how do we stay motivated as we age? Because it can be tough. And what kind of strategies do you recommend to stay motivated
two kinds of motivation, right? There's either running away from some shit that's about to catch you and kill you, or there's a carrot that's dangled out in front that you're chasing, a pot at the end of the rainbow, right? Both of those motivate, both of those get you going. Which one works for you? If you're like most people, including myself, you wait till the wolf is at the door. You wait until the dog is chasing after you, chomping at your ass. What does that mean? You got high blood pressure, you got high cholesterol, you have to get surgery, you need to go on medication, you got cancer, you got diabetes, you're pre-diabetic, you got osteoporosis, like all these things.
So how would you recommend it? So I would agree with that too, because I know you're a man of faith, and I like to start my day with some daily devotionals, just kind of center myself and then pray on those. And it's like we kind of rely on God when we need God. God, I need your help. Get us out of this mess. Versus, I forget which devotional it was, what specific it was, but it is like tapping into that every single day, which is having that vision of where we're going.
Right.
And kind of what I hear you saying is like, okay, what am I motivated by? Which is we're running toward it, not having the wolf show up at our doorstep and saying, hey, little pig, let me in.
Yeah. But, that's usually the way it works, right? We get so fed up with ourselves, disgusted with ourselves, and things aren't going well that we make a change. But maybe you're the rare kind of person who can see into the future and know what it is that they want and really let that draw you forward, right? Motivation. And then motivation is good because it gets you going. It creates momentum, but it's not what's going to last. What lasts is commitment. And commitment is tough. Commitment is hard. Commitment seems to be most available for us and easy for us when we just make something a habit. Like you stop thinking about it altogether. When you do something enough where like now it's just like brushing your teeth, right? Tracking your macros is like brushing your teeth. It's just something that we do, right? I no longer have to think about it. And it's something that we should all do. Everybody in my house does it too. And we say that you're locked in. When you're tracking your macros, you're locked in. Because when you're not tracking your macros, I don't care who you are, you really don't know what you're eating, right? Calorie-wise. And so, not arguing for that particular habit, but the whole idea is know what you want and then just create a good habit. Know what you want, create a good habit, and let that habit become automatic, and it'll take you to your destination. Be it just walking, walking 10,000 steps a day, that becomes a habit. Like, all right, if I don't walk at least 6 to 8 laps around my lake in the back, I feel like an alien, like something is awkward, like I didn't do the thing that I need to do, like brush my teeth. So once you get into that groove with your diet and your nutrition or whatever your habits are, whatever your good habits are, then success is almost automatic. It's smooth.
That makes perfect sense then. So like to get the motivation, we're faced with those challenges, which goes back to your first point, which is, it's having that patience with yourself, having that view of like, okay, I've got a vision. If it takes me a year, it takes me 2 years, so be it. But I'm going to get out there and I'm going to strive to get 10,000 steps. And maybe I only get 8,000. Hey, I've got this technology in front of me, my phone. I don't know how to use technology, but I'm willing to learn technology and put what I ate in the phone so I can start to learn how I got cholesterol. It's about being patient and facing those challenges just by taking simple habits daily that turn into the new you.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Awesome.
But easier said than done.
So what role does mental strength play in physical strength?
It's interesting because mental strength is a weird word. Like, how can you be mentally strong? Mental strength is almost like an oxymoron because mind isn't physically strong, but the mind can drive you crazy, especially if you don't know how to let it yield and relax. That's what makes you mentally strong. It's just not freaking out and self-sabotaging and worrying about shit that's out of your control. That's what's mental strong means, mentally letting go. not letting shit bother you, not speaking negatively to yourself and judging yourself and beating yourself up. That's what a mentally strong person is. Resilient, right? This is not going to tear me down. This is not going to stop me. I can keep going. Not because I'm forceful, that's will, but because I'm detached, I'm stoic, I'm cool. I'm just going to keep going. I'm determined to get there. And really, with the mental stuff, you can't separate it from emotional. You know, it's really emotions. Like you got to be mental. You got to be able to use your mind to overcome the weakness of the emotions. The emotions are the ones that want to drag you down. Oh, now you're feeling sad. Oh, now you're angry at yourself. Give all that shit up. Use your mind to overcome that by saying, hey, look, it's all right. I'm going to start again tomorrow. This isn't the end of my life. I can do this, you know?
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It's you don't understand mental strength till you go through it and you face it head on. So like an example was basically hear you saying, give yourself some grace. Like you may be going through a life struggle, but then you know what? I'm getting those 10,000 steps today. I'm going to get better at my squat today. And then it was not going the way you thought it would. But you know what? I showed up today. Wasn't perfect.
Yep.
Life's not perfect. But I'm giving myself the grace that it's okay. We're going to get back after it tomorrow. And sooner or later, this rain's going to lift.
Absolutely. That's mental strength.
The next one with mental strength, and I get this from my clients who have been doing programs, what we talked about earlier. They're doing a program for 12 weeks. And then they say, I got this plateau. Like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here. I'm not going to get through this. And a lot of times it's a mindset, a mental plateau, and also it is sometimes a physical plateau. What are some of your best strategies for helping clients break through these mental and physical plateaus?
Most people's plateaus in results is because they're not being as diligent as they were in the beginning. The plateau is in motivation. In the beginning, when you're starting something out, you're like excited and like you're doing everything, you know, by the book, right? I just signed up for training. I got a great trainer. I got all my food ready. I got my gym membership. And, you know, my father calls that first break. That means like you're excited now. Yeah, you're all excited because you just started some shit. And you get a little bit of results. You get some results. And just human nature, as, you know, time goes on, it's like entropy. Time goes on and you start getting slack. You start getting lazy. You start cutting corners. Just a little corner here and there. Right? Oh, no, it's just a cheat day. It's just a cheat weekend. No big deal. And if you're not tracking, like, and being accountable, it's very easy to bullshit yourself and to think that you're doing what you've always been doing. It's just not working anymore. But if you actually come back to what you were actually doing in the beginning and you get back on track, stop cutting corners, your results will start again. It's about consistency.
You kind of set your mind like, okay, back to that year point you're talking about, like, okay, this isn't a 12-week program that I'm excited. I'm with my trainer. I'm excited to start my fitness. I'm excited to eat this new food. It's about having that vision to be like, okay, the vision is what's going to excite me. The year process is going to excite me about where I'm going to be.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to excite you. Like, you're just doing it. Yeah, because you know what? We get addicted to excitement a lot of times. Like, oh, it just doesn't feel good anymore, right? It's not fun anymore. Yeah. Of course, nothing's fun after, 3 months. Okay, it's getting boring. You got it. But just keep going.
Yeah, right? I would agree with that. It's like there's some adversities that I faced in my life the last 2 years. I would say it was coming up on 3 years now. And what I did is kind of like you just said, is just set your goal. I just basically put my mind to like, okay, I can't control this, but I'm just going to put in my mind, we'll reevaluate this in 6 months and take one day at a time. And sometimes life throws you that curveball where emotionally it hits you, but you say, okay, I'm just going to go for that walk anyway. And you finish that walk, you feel better. You're in a better place. And then you build that habit where you don't want to miss. So that's good. There's some good strategies around motivation and mindset, which kind of leads to what we were talking about with logging your food, and talking about like we're not moving like we used to. like we talked about earlier here. Recovery becomes more crucial as we get older. What are your favorite recovery practices?
Taking a day off, sleeping in my hammock.
Awesome. Yeah, I would agree. I've been going all the time. And this past weekend, I had somebody watch my son, and I am with him every day, taking care of him, running my gym. And I had one morning where I got to sleep in. And you know what? That extra sleep, I went to work on Monday. I just had so much energy and vitality. So that sleep is what I hear you saying helps you out too.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So that takes care of the question I had, how important sleep is to help you there. What is some of the biggest recovery mistakes that you see for people over the age of 50?
The tendency is to say don't overdo it, right? But what does overdo it mean, right? By not overdoing it, a lot of times we think in terms of like the intensity or volume of a workout, right? Like don't go too heavy, or you're doing a lot of reps, like slow down, right? But really, I don't think that's the limiting factor. I think we can we can have very intense and difficult workouts, but the frequency needs to be dialed in. You can't do it and then do it again the next day. You got to give yourself, like, depending on how strong you are and the type of, if you're doing a very high intensity workout, you might not recover for a week. You got to recognize that. Give yourself time to recover. Don't think you need to crush it in the gym every day. That's going to be the biggest difference.
What do you feel like, and what do you see is the ideal frequency for the clients that you train?
It depends on the person. It depends on their vitality, right? It depends on their ability and their goals. I don't think there's a standard, right?
Yeah.
Some people recover a lot faster, and you can give them more frequency and higher intensity, and they do great. And you want to do that, right? If that ability is there, like, yeah, let's take advantage of it. You're recovering great, let's do it. And that same person could, 6 months from now, not be the same way. So it's got to be dialed in, based on the season for an individual as well. And then some people, like, really shouldn't even really be exerting themselves too difficult, like too hard or too intensely in the gym. They need more like working in, like breathing and stretching, right? Lowering your physiological load, balancing your nervous system, right? You got sympathetic overload. So they need like calming exercises, not box jumps. Just periodization depends on the person.
So basically, long story, just listen to your body. And if you do need a rest day, maybe yoga is the best fit for you. Maybe, remembering what you're grateful for, what's going well in your life. And then that's putting you in a place of strength to take on that intense workout. Got it.
Listen to your body. It's not a sexy answer, because it means we got to take responsibility.
Yeah, that's what I kind of tell my clients too, is you got to listen to your body. I think you've learned it. I think from what you've talked about in the past, when you were running, you did the slip and slide.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've injured myself a lot.
Yeah, and then it's like example, I'm running sprints at the track. I'm on the last 400 sprint. I'm gonna go run at the track, and all of a sudden I felt my calf get a little tight. And I slowed down, and I was like, "It's the last sprint. It's the last 50 meters. Let's get it!" And then boom, the calf goes. And it's like these little things you learn where you got to listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Or hey, shoulders feel a little tight today. Oh, I just need to stretch it. No, it's okay. We'll stretch it. But I'm dead set on it. I've been making progress every single week in my workout. And, I can't take a day off, because if I take a day off, I'm going to go back in strength. So the real strength then is listening to your body versus messing your shoulder up, messing your calf up, messing your Achilles up, messing your bicep up.
Yeah.
So that's just something that comes in with the territory. All right.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned sleep. What is, say, number 2, number 3 in the hierarchy of recovery for you?
So after sleep?
Yeah.
Well, food and water, I'll put them both together, right? Don't go trying to recover from high intensity workouts with prolonged fasting.
It's not
unless you want to burn through a bunch of muscle, which I've done before. I've done that, but like most people, that's not a good idea, right? You got if you want to recover, you gotta eat and you gotta be hydrated, and you need enough protein for sure. At least 40% protein, maybe more. You know, as we get older, we need it.
I love the point you brought up about protein because you're talking to your clients and you're saying, hey, I need you to increase your protein because they're like, hey, I feel like I'm getting small, wimpy. Mostly my guy clients, and they're in their 50s and they're big guys, but they lost the body fat. And they're like, I'm feeling wimpy, like I'm getting small. I'm like, hey, well, how's your protein? They say, well, my protein's fine. And then you have them track it and they're taking in 100 grams of protein. What are some simple methods you find for them to get more protein?
You gotta think ahead. You can't be one of these things where you're gonna wing it for the day. Protein is like scavenger hunting. Like you gotta go to work and figure out how you're gonna get your protein. You know, carbs and fat come easy. Yeah, that's like everywhere. You know, whatever junk you put in your mouth is carbs and fat. You gotta think about protein. Even our ancestors had to think about it, but they had to think much more. They had to go hunt it. At least we can just go to the supermarket, but damn, you got to think about it. It doesn't happen accidentally like fat and carbs, right? That's the very first thing. You got to be deliberate. Very simple. Meat, eggs, things that come from meat. Meat and things that come from meat. My mentor, Paul Chek, would say eyes foods. Foods that have eyes or come from something with eyes. Did this fish have eyes? Yeah, fish have eyes. Okay, good. Is this cheese eyes? Well, it came from something with eyes, yeah. Is this steak eyes? Yes. Is this ground beef eyes? Yes. Is this chicken breast eyes? Yes. Eyes or comes from something with eyes. 40%, at least 40%, depending on your metabolic type, should come from that kind of protein.
So get out there, guys. You got to meal prep. You got to prep that protein. Grab 3 pounds of lean ground beef on a Sunday night, grill it up in a pan, and like Elliott says, have it with you. Because the protein is hard to find if you're not prepped for it. Mm-hmm. It's really not that hard. It's just having it prepped and having it available. But like you said, it's so easy. Oh man, I'm hungry. I'm going to run into the gas station. Well, I heard protein bars are good for me. And then they grab a Cliff Bar, 50 grams of carbs, and then they got these new ones, at Cliff Bar nuts. And it's like Cliff Bars with peanut butter in them. And they're like, oh, peanut butter's got protein. But peanut butter, last time I checked, peanuts don't have eyes. So you're not getting protein. You are getting the fat. You are getting the carbs, which are sending you up the ladder of obesity.
Right. Yeah. Got to get the protein, guys.
You talked about habits changing your life. We're expanding this now. If a man were 50, start with one habit today, in Elliott's point of view, what would it be?
One habit today would be to get 8 hours of sleep a night. You know, easier said than done. Once again, one of these things was like, oh, how do I do that? But like, if you have to maximize, if you got to do one habit, that would be it. Figure out how to do that.
So let's talk about the sleep, the benefits of sleep. You know, the one that I learned. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a big time, but I got challenged to do a fitness competition one time, men's physique. And the biggest learning that I learned through the whole thing, to challenge myself to train as much as I did and to diet down the way I did, was I wasn't hungry like I thought I was. Anytime I was hungry, it usually was because I was lacking sleep. And that was the big distinction that I made, is like, man, I am ravenously hungry. But I was training hard. My body wasn't recovering. And then when I'd go take a 20 to 30 minute nap, I can't eat. I'm just going to go take a nap. I'd take a nap and I would come back and I'd be like, where'd my hunger go? And, oh, I'm not tired anymore. Let's go do it.
Yeah, you're nice and anabolic when you're sleeping too. Yeah, I heard lack of sleep kind of screws up your blood sugar levels. That's why you're hungry.
Yeah, so sleep helps us with our hunger, which I learned. Sleep, any specific hormones that you see you benefiting from? You said anabolic. I mean, instead of getting advertised these pills on our phone from any company, tell us we need some blue pill.
Yeah, you want to give your body time and space to go into its natural anabolic rhythm. So we're designed to be responsive to the sun by the certain glands in our brain and in our eyes and in our skin. First of all, when the sun goes up, we're catabolic. It's not a bad thing. This means that we're burning energy for life, right? When the sun comes up, so you're releasing catabolic hormones, right? Adrenaline and cortisol, and that's great. That's okay. That's what you need to have energy during the day. When the sun starts going down, your body does the exact opposite, and it starts releasing hormones, testosterone and growth hormone. The problem is when the sun goes down, we turn on artificial lights. So now that time that your body should be going into anabolic hormone production, it's not. It's staying fried. It's staying high and hot with catabolic hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. So when you try to go to bed at night and you've been spending, let's say if the sun goes down at 7 p.m., 8, 9, 10, 3 hours, you're running around looking at artificial lights, these white light LED and shit, these computer screens. Then you try to go lay down and go to sleep, you're dazzled. Your whole body and your mind, your hormones are jacked up. That's why you can't fall asleep. So a simple thing to start doing is when the evening comes around, you can wear blue blocking glasses. That's what I do. Blue blocker glasses. They block blue light. Or just keep the lights more dim in your house. Start lowering the lights. Now looking at your screen, or if you do look at your screen, turn the heat up so it's not all blue lights. More warm. Turn the warmth up.
Yeah, so sleep and in adjusting your natural light. I think that's really important. Yeah, because how many people are up at night flipping through TikTok, watching our videos till one right after the other, but that's all that blue light, and it's not allowing them to get that restful sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, you probably talk to, they're successful in their relationships, their career, and, they got out of shape, and they want to be, because they were in shape at one point in their life, and they come to us, hey, we want to be physically strong again, and we want to be back in shape. How does somebody start building mental and physical strength when they're out of shape?
Well, once again, you got to start slow. And so what exactly you need to do, I don't know. I talked about flexibility, stability, strength, and power. So you want to build that foundation first. But where you're supposed to begin, it depends. I like to do a thorough assessment on my clients and find out what their abilities are and what kind of stresses they're having in their lives. So from that sort of a foundation, once I understand your physiological load and your movement capacity, then we decide, what's the lowest hanging fruit to get you started nice and smooth.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's to find out where your client's starting from. Is like they may be the CEO of a big time company and they want to start training, but they have decision fatigue because all day they're making big time decisions, and the last thing they want to do is come into the gym and beat their body up. So right. I think that's a good point for that CEO, giving themselves some grace and saying, okay, where can I start so I can start building that stress? To whereas like I had a client tell me they could start a Monday strong, and they were a CEO of a company, but they would do the old workouts that they once did, and then Tuesday would come around, they couldn't get out of bed in the morning, and they could barely function at work.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, so that's a good point, is like finding out what you're capable of and start developing those things. This is the big one for a lot of men over 50 and 60, and it's that change in identity. I mean, a lot of people have been, in a career. Their kids are leaving the house. What are some of the biggest challenges you see men over 50 face, and how do they start to overcome them?
That's a good question. So changes in life. I got a 20-year-old daughter. I got one that's 18. I got one that's 16, and my son is 14. So I got a bunch of teenagers in early 20s. All my kids are like driving. The time demands are very different. When they were younger, they needed a lot more of my time, but now that they're older, they need more of my quality. So that's a change, but actually a change for the better, because I can do things that adult men do and have my son do it with me, right? Like lift. So it becomes like a, father and son sort of thing. When they were younger, you couldn't do anything. They were weak, little kid.
Yeah. I like that video you had with your son in the gym with you, and you were teaching him how to do dips. I think you were having him do them with bands. You have him do bands. Yeah. Was it shoulder work? Like, that was a great video. Yeah. So overcoming some of those challenges, it sounds like it's not so much a challenge, it's a transformation. It's
rolling with the punches. Things are just different, right?
So you're thinking, like, how do I incorporate into your life to find that new purpose? Say, like, the kids leaving the house. The tough one for people too is, death, or dealing with death. I mean, we're closer to the end than we are the beginning. We still got a lot of time left, but how do people start facing that? Because I have gotten that on coaching calls with clients. Is they get on the call with me and they're like, I've never had these thoughts in my life. I'm 60 now, but I'm thinking about dying. And not that they're going to do anything. They say, don't worry about it. But they're like, how much do I have left? Does it pay? Those are the things.
I guess if you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, your health is really bad, like you're chopping some years off your life, that's the time to think about it. Well, I'm too busy just doing my thing. I'm really not thinking about death. Not yet. It might come. Ask me in a couple of years.
All those clients is like they've accomplished a lot, and now it's just to find that next level of purpose in their life. Like, you've spent 70% of your life on your work, and maybe you spent 20% of your life on your kids, and you spend 10% on a hobby. Like, now your relationship is 40 and your career is 30, and now you got this extra time. So it's kind of finding those purposes. And it sounds like kind of that's what you found with your kids, is incorporating them into your life in different activities. So I find like isolation's a big one too, because men suffer in silence.
Yeah.
How does training and fitness and mindset, how do we deal with that as men, that isolation, that suffering in silence? And sometimes guys don't even know it because we're conditioned from it's multiple questions in one, but they kind of put these emotions over here and they're just kind of white knuckling it through the day and like, I'm going to get through this because I'm a man.
So
that isolation, that suffering in silence.
And that's kind of the way I do it also in my life, but I also remember the time spent like at my gym when I had a gym. I live out in the country right now, and I had a gym strength camp for many years in the city. And like the past 4 years, I've been out here in rural Florida on a ranch, isolated, not around a bunch of guys. I can tell you much different. And if you have your buddies around you, I think it'd be good. Like go to the gym together, train together, or do something like physical together, right? Like boxing or Muay Thai or something like that, right? Like be around dudes that you care about. Like if you have friends, man, that's really good. But don't just be with them doing bullshit. Like go to the gym and lift and do things together. You can have a nice network. I know what it's like to have it. I know what it's like not to have it. It's better to have it, be with other guys.
What was that transition like for you? I'm in the city now. I grew up in Wisconsin, in the middle of the country, and then joined the Air Force and went everywhere around the world. But now I'm settled in the city because that's where people are. How is that transition from being in the city, now you're out in the country? You said isolated. And, it's different mindset. I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to it. I know what those are. But for you, how was that transition?
It's been tough. Not that I've been like having a hard time with it, but when I look at my life, I'm like, wow, things are so different. So it's like, wow, all right, I'm definitely in a totally different space. Mainly because when I was in the city, I was around more people, and now I'm by myself. It also reminds me of why I moved out here, and that was to do more events. And so, things unfold on the timeline it's supposed to unfold, but I'm starting to do more events now. So
Yeah.
I'm fighting to be here because lifting with other guys is great. It's a good thing to do. So looking to put together maybe a network, a council, guys that will come here frequently, maybe once a month, and we'll do open gym and lifting and things that guys do.
I think that's great. I think you hit it right on the head there. And I saw you posted the other day. You want to talk about that for a minute or two? Like come out, hang out with Elliott?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, come out here and lift with Elliott. It's a lot of different parts to it because, as you know, training someone online is very different than training them in real life, right? When you train in real life, there's much greater transfer of knowledge and understanding, especially when it comes to moving the body, right? I could speak all day long on a video until I'm actually there with you and I show you and I can actually see the way that you're doing it, then an exercise is perform real well. Also, just intensity, right? Like if you're around a bunch of guys, we tend to do things with a little bit more integrity when we're together. And fellowship, right? A lot of guys, like you said, we isolate. So maybe there are too many guys that are in your area that you can resonate with. It's kind of the world that we live in. So you find that if you resonate with me online, then let's get together and be with some other guys that are like-minded. You know what I'm saying? So for all good reasons, I'm inviting people to come and train with me for a day. Yeah.
Get out there, train with Elliott for a day, man. I would agree with that 100%. Like every major breakthrough I ever made it started in isolation with thoughts and getting with God and praying on it and then writing it down on paper. But the breakthrough came being around somebody who could help pull that out of you. So I think, getting out with Elliott, getting out with a local group of Muay Thai, getting out with lifting with somebody one-on-one, it'll definitely bring more out of you, especially if somebody who's at a higher level, like yourself. Training, it's different training with Bob the painter, who's your neighbor, versus you go train with Elliott, power lifter. He's going to be able to cue you. He's going to be able to say some things that is going to tap into something that you didn't even know was there or was there that you just haven't utilized in a while. So that is a brilliant point. I love that. Now for the fun. I've been thinking long and hard of these questions. And it's called Rapid Fire with Yo Elliott. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Morning routine essentials.
Get up when you wake up, not with an alarm clock.
Best exercise for longevity.
Walking.
One supplement you swear by every day.
Creatine.
Biggest fitness myth men make over 50.
Not training at all.
Okay.
And training too hard. It's
okay.
The two ends of the spectrum.
I was gonna guess not listening to their bodies based off our conversation today, but that's great. Favorite book on mindset.
Oh, there are so many, but I'm just gonna say Thick Face Black Heart.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. And this one you're gonna love. This is for the OGs out there that know Elliott from day one. How is your 53-year-old uncle doing?
Uncle Elroy?
Yeah, the one that was doing like the 50-inch box jumps, deadlifting 400 pounds per rep, pushing the prowler. He's probably like 67 now, 66. How is he doing? Because he was a beast. He looked like he was 30.
Uncle Elroy's doing great. He's still squatting heavy and deadlifting, and he's pretty jacked and ripped. Yeah, he's doing pretty awesome. He's a trainer. He's got his little gym, and he's helping people get fit.
I love it. It just proves right there. I mean, 13 years later.
Yeah, that's right.
Elroy was dominating the box jumps, the deadlifts, and guess what? He's 66, still doing it. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
We're young pups. We got 20 years to go.
Yeah, he's up there. Man.
Elliott, I know we've only met in passing a few times. You always came off as a real humble guy. I love what you talk about. This truly has been an amazing call. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. Where can people learn more about you?
Oh, find me on YouTube. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, you'll definitely find them on YouTube there. I mean, this was super valuable. Make sure you get over to Elliott's channel, you subscribe, and let me know in the comments section, guys, what you enjoyed best about this interview, and if there's anything in the future you want to hear from Elliott, I'm sure you can go comment on his station. Thanks a lot, Elliott. I appreciate your time.
You got it, Brian. This is fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.